Okay everyone, I thought I would discuss and walk you through how to remove the restrictor and the possible baffles on the inside of a standard CVO ST, the Screaming Eagle muffler. So here's the muffler right here that's already off the CVO ST. And if you look at it from the side and from the inside of the muffler, you will see that there is a restrictor right here. And what this does is it restricts the flow, of course, of the exhaust, softening the sound quite a bit. Behind this restrictor is, of course, a baffle system, fiberglass pack. So there are some tools that you are going to need for this, and I laid them out here. So you will need a rubber mallet, preferably one that has a harder polymer head and one with a soft rubber head. You'll also need a regular hammer. In this case I have a ball-peen hammer. You will need a drill, and this will be used to drill out the rivets with a 3/16 inch drill bit. You'll need a punch to punch out the drilled rivets, and then you'll need a hex wrench, and I'll show you what to do with this later, because you'll use this to remove the restrictor. And then to put it all back together, you will need a rivet tool. I picked this one up from Amazon. I think it was maybe $25 or $30. What you will end up doing is you'll use the drill to drill out these rivets. If you use this 3/16 inch drill bit and just drill in this hole, it'll quite quickly, the head will pop off. You'll do this all the way around, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. Okay, so we're going to start with drilling off the rivets on the rear of the exhaust. So here we have the Screaming Eagle exhaust from the standard CVO ST. Sorry, it's not fully in frame, but here we go. I'm doing a close-up here, and then you can see on the back end here these rivets right here. Now we're going to use a 3/16 inch drill bit. That's 3/16 inch drill bit. We're just going to place it in the center hole here. You don't need to be too exact, just place it, and then you're just going to do a slight drill. What that's going to do, it's going to cut through the rivet and then cut the head off. And you'll know you're done when the head starts to spin on the drill bit. So let me demonstrate that for you right here. Let me get a good angle for you. A little bit more, and there we go. You'll see that starts to spin off right there, and this is the top of the rivet. And then what that'll leave is it'll leave the rest of the rivet shaft in the hole. You're going to do that all the way around, so let me do that one more time. On the bottom of the exhaust there is one special rivet that holds the silver band together. You want to do that one last because you don't want this band popping off on you. So let me do that one more time. You'll see that I'll do it on this rivet. Again, 3/16 inch drill bit. I'm just going to place it on top. Again, you don't need to be too exact, but just hold it there. And then you'll know you're through when the head starts to spin on the drill bit. And there you go. So we got 2 rivets done. It moves pretty quickly. You're going to go all the way around and drill this off. I've drilled around. I've taken 5 of them off. I'm going to do this last one here, and again, this last one, you'll notice, is what holds the band together. When I drill this, the band will spring off. Not too forcefully, but let me do that for you now. There we go. The last rivet is off, and you'll see that band just pop off. You want to save this band and be careful with it, because you'll be reattaching this later. So we'll just lay that to the side. And then you'll see the 6 rivet heads here. This leaves the rivet body in the exhaust in the 6 places. And now we're going to move to a punch. We're just going to punch through there and knock these rivets inside the exhaust. You don't want to just leave them in there, obviously, because then they'll just rattle around and make noise. So hold on one second and I'll set that up. Okay, so I just decided to show you a full shot of what the exhaust looks like with the rear band removed as we had just drilled off the rivet heads. So now we're going to get a punch, about a 3/16 inch punch. These are very inexpensive. You can get them in any hardware store, even on Amazon, for maybe $5 or $6. And any hammer. And what we're going to do is we're going to punch out these rivet shafts. Do be a little bit careful. You don't want to hit the, obviously, the carbon fiber exhaust tip. So hold on one second and I'll get that set up. Okay, so let me demonstrate how this is going to be done. We're just going to set the punch on top of the rivet head. And then we'll just hammer it through. Okay, I spent some time and I just punched out those shafts. You can see the holes here. So they punch through. And again, you don't want to leave those in there because you can hear they're rattling inside. So we're going to remove those. Hold on one second, and this is where we bring in the rubber mallet. Hold on one second. Okay, at this point, we're going to use that rubber mallet that I discussed. Again, this you can find on Amazon for about $10–15. You're going to use this edge, the polyurethane or plastic edge, to really catch the edge of this, to really knock off the tip. The reason we're using this polyurethane edge is you don't want to damage the finish on the exhaust or damage the carbon fiber. If you use a metal hammer, you're obviously going to scratch the exhaust or risk damaging the edges of this carbon fiber. So hold on, it's quite an easy process. All you're going to do is just tap it lightly. Okay, so you're just going to lift it up, maybe hold it with one hand, and get the edge of this hammer and just slide it along while knocking off the edge. Again, you don't have to worry too much about damaging the finish because you're using this polyurethane. And you don't have to worry about damaging the carbon fiber because you're using the polyurethane. And there you go. So here's the carbon fiber tip. I found it interesting that if you look on the inside of the tip, there's actually a carbon weave unfinished, which looks very standard to like a standard carbon fiber as opposed to the forged carbon fiber. I don't know if that comes across well in the picture there. Now, the restrictor is this part right here. Let me get that picture. Is this part right here. If you looked inside the restrictor before, you might notice that it looks like there are some bolts on the inside. It's probably not coming across in the picture. And you might be tempted to think that you could just unscrew those bolts to remove the restrictor. You might be able to cut it out from outside the exhaust. The only difficulty with that is that would leave this head screw sitting inside the exhaust, or actually behind this carbon fiber tip, which would of course rattle. So stand by 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get an Allen key, stick it in here, and then just unscrew these 2 bolts, which will then allow me to remove the restrictor. So now we have our, what we're going to use is a 5/32 inch hex or Allen key, and you're just going to place that in this nut here and unscrew. It's quite easy to do. They're not in there with a lot of torque at all. And of course on the other side. That one's not even tight. Alright. There we go. And then the restrictor will be able to slide out. Stand by. So I'm just going to grab in here, and they might be stuck a little bit, which is not a problem. Just going to slide that out. And there we go. Here's the restrictor that's inside the muffler. And you can see here, it might be a better picture, you can see those bolts now and how they're basically welded onto the inside of the restrictor. Now we'll just put that aside. And now what that does leave is now a more free-flowing exhaust. Now you could just stop right there and reassemble everything. But what I am going to do on this particular exhaust is I'm also going to remove some of the baffles, the internal fiberglass wrap. So if you'll stand by 1 second, I'll show you how I do that. Now with those rivets gone, we're going to go back to our rubber mallet. And what we are going to do is just tap lightly on this portion of the cap. And what it'll do is as you tap, as you go around, slowly this cap will move out. It's glued in there because there's an epoxy underneath this. But if you tap it lightly, just back and forth, it'll start to work out on its own. So let me show you that. And you can already start to see that it's starting to work out on its own. That rattling you hear is the shaft of those rivets. Don't hit it too hard. You don't want to bend that cap at all. Just a light tap as you're working it around, and it'll start moving on its own. Just cut off the editing a little bit, so I'm just going to do these last few taps here, and then you'll see how it just falls out. And there we go. So here's the cap, and then you'll notice it's sticking here because of that epoxy. You can probably even see it there a little bit sticking to the fiberglass. So that's the cap, and then you'll see what fell out are the rivet heads that we punch through. Okay, and then on the inside, you can see the fiberglass wrap, as well as the baffle system. The reason I really took off the cap, you didn't need to take off the cap if you were just going to remove the restrictor. But what I plan on doing is taking out some of this fiberglass wrapping to enhance the sound of the muffler. So stand by 1 second and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so you'll see here the fiberglass wrap. I did put on some gloves because, as many of you know who work with fiberglass, it will irritate your skin. So to prevent that from happening, I went ahead and put on some rubber gloves. And all you're really going to do is you're going to tug this and pull this baffle out, or this fiberglass wrap. This is the left-sided muffler, which, as many of you know on the touring cycles from Harley Davidson, flows much less air, much less exhaust than the right exhaust. So in the right exhaust, I'm leaving this fiberglass packing in because I don't want the sound to be too loud. But in the left exhaust, I'm going to take it out because it'll increase the sound, but not too much in my view. From my past experience with tab slip-ons, I put my zombie baffle, which is basically no baffle, in my left exhaust, and a louvered baffle or a baffle system in the right exhaust of my tab slip-ons, and that gave me the perfect sound. So I'm estimating in this case as well with the Screaming Eagle mufflers, if I take out the sound dampening, the fiberglass from the left exhaust, it should give me pretty much a deep sound profile with the loudness that I desire. So hold on one second. Let's show you something here. So you'll see this, I guess it's a heat-proof layer fabric. This is folded inside. If you unfold it outwards, what you'll find between this internal tube or baffle, there is a string of fiberglass. You grab one end of it and you just pull on it and keep rolling it out. What that'll do is create space so that you can eventually pull this out. You see the wad of string, basically it looks like yarn, and you just pull it and it continuously comes out between the outer cover and the inner tube. So I'm just unraveling this as we go in order to create space. And Harley was really nice to do it this way because it's very easy to pull out, as you can see. Stand by, I'll keep working on this. I had to show this. This is all that fiberglass string that was inside that muffler. It's a lot, but very easy to unpack. You just grab one end of the string and pull. So that's all the fiberglass packing, or I guess the baffle system, if you want to call it. And what that does leave is this, I guess it's a heat-resistant fiber on the inside of the muffler, but without any packing. I'm going to leave that in there because I do want to protect from the heat for the exhaust. But I imagine that will, of course, increase the sound quite a bit. So with all this packing gone, I am now going to reassemble and then mount on my CVO. And I'll show you the reassembly process as well.